as a tournament director, decisions fall on us through the course of a tournament to rule on situations that have an outcome for everybody in the tournament. So if I'm called in a multi-table tournament, say it could be 20 or 30 tables, and I'm called to one table to make a decision, that decision has an impact on every player in the tournament. And I think a lot of tournament directors and floor staff fail to understand that. I have to make a decision, especially when it comes to awarding of pots, awarding of the chips in a hand, that will have an outcome on how that player with those, who ends up with those chips, will play those chips for the remainder of the tournament. And once I make a decision at that table, I have to be aware that it affects everybody else in the game. And so it's with that in mind that I think tournament directors need to start thinking about the implications of their rulings. It's not just the one person you're dealing with, it's everybody in the game. To give an example, it was said to me by another tournament director, we had a situation in a very crucial stage of the tournament where a player goes all in. And after a period of time, the clock is called on the player facing that bet. The tournament director is called over, and he says to me, he relates to me, he says, look, the guy was facing his tournament life. This is the guy facing the bet. So I didn't want to give him, I didn't want to be too harsh on him. So I'm giving him a bit more time. I think that's wrong. The guy facing the bet, whilst it is his tournament life, it's also the guy who's made the bet's tournament's life as well. And the rule for clock, which to give a player a minute and 10 seconds, is there. So the decision is made by the player facing the bet. And his decision, whatever he makes, whether it's the right decision to call and win, or the wrong decision to call and pass, right, or call and lose rather, that has an implication for everybody in the game. So a player should not be given an advantage of being given extra time on when a clock is called and because it's his tournament life. Because it's not just that player we're dealing with in the tournament, we're dealing with everybody in the tournament. We're dealing with the outcome, the winner of the eventual winner of the hand, right? So if this guy, he was given more than the time allotted to make a decision, and then finally comes to the decision, oh yeah, I'm right to call this bet, and wins the pot. Well, he's got those chips by default because he was given too much time to think about it. And the clock is there to make him make a decision under pressure. And if he makes the wrong, if the rule is used right, and he has to make that decision in that minute, and he makes the decision whether it be the right one or the wrong one, someone ends up with those chips that would have got him in the right and natural course of events. But if he's given too much time to think the hand through, where the guy who made the bet could be bluffing, he makes the decision. This guy who's made that, he suffers. All right? And he suffers because he loses his chips. And everybody else in the game will suffer because this guy got the chips wrong. He got them with too much time to think about it. So we have rules that do need to be, stuck to very rigidly. And we have rules that we have to make allowances for in situations. But in this case here, to say to somebody, yeah, I'm giving him extra time because of his tournament life, that's not good enough. It's not just him you're dealing with everybody else. And players face bets under pressure, and they have to make a decision under pressure. We are not here as tournament directors or floor staff to help them make that decision. We have to take everybody into the game, and we have to take consideration of the guy who made the bet. He's sweating on the result of this other guy's eventual response to his bet. So to give him extra time, the guy facing the bet, you're not being fair to the guy who made the bet. Stick to the law. Stick to what it says. A minute and 10 seconds once he's had adequate time to act. Yes, it's his tournament life, but it's not also the guy who's made the bet. It's not his tournament life as well. And is it not also falling on every other player in the tournament if the guy wins the chips through being given more time than he should have been given and come to the right decision? So, it's more than one person in the game when you're making a decision. As tournament director, you've got to take that into account when you're giving your ruling on it. You can't keep making allowances for people and their lack of action or inaction.